Let's learn to play acoustic guitar and music theory. Now, if everyone starts from the first lesson and patiently studies each lesson, I'm sure everyone can learn to play guitar. For today's first lesson, we'll cover a beginner's guide to self-learning guitar, because I want everyone to have a clear approach, and a practical method is key. Start with this in the first lesson, to first walk you through how to learn guitar the right way. First, let's go over what you need to get started with guitar. The first thing is you need a guitar, and it has to be a proper acoustic guitar. A lot of beginners try to save money or don't know better and end up buying guitars costing just over 100 yuan, or even just a few dozen yuan. They soon find these guitar strings are really hard to press. Your fingers end up hurting a lot. Plus, they don't sound good either. Some might ask, so, how much should a beginner spend on their first guitar? In this lesson, throughout the whole course, I won't recommend any commercial or sponsored products. I'm just here to share some knowledge. You can actually get a decent beginner guitar for just a few hundred yuan. Here are numbers. For reference, if you're a guy, I recommend a 41-inch guitar. If you're a girl and smaller in size, you can choose a 40-inch guitar. Of course, a 41-inch guitar is even better. Usually, if the soundboard is made of spruce, then this guitar should be fine. Low-quality guitars, like cheap guitars, are often made of laminated wood. With soundboards like these, you shouldn't consider these guitars. These guitars, the so-called practice guitars, are made with furniture making technique. They aren't really guitars. I believe experienced players have felt this before. When we pick up a really cheap guitar and tune all 6 strings, when you start playing chords, you'll notice the sound is always a bit off, slightly out of tune. Guitars know to off from the start, because the guitar's intonation wasn't built to standard. In other words, the intonation is off. If you start learning guitar, but the guitar you get isn't in tune, it's hard to say where your music journey will go. Many beginners know that when starting guitar, you'll face some chords that are hard to play, like bar chords, and string action is too high. It's hard to press down. You might think guitar is especially difficult, so your first guitar is very important. When choosing, you should, besides what I just said, you also need to try playing it to feel the string height. See if it feels right. All matters. Next, you need an electronic tuner. Since we don't have any background in music theory, and we haven't had any formal training, tuning the guitar by ear is really difficult. An electronic tuner, like this, is an essential tool you need. An electronic tuner helps you tune your guitar to standard note. As for how to use the electronic tuner, we'll explain this tutorial. I'll cover this in later lessons. Try it yourself. Electronic tuners come in various prices. Some are around 10 bucks, others 30 or more. I recommend going for a mid-range model. As for expensive ones, if your budget allows, of course the more expensive, the better. Because pricier tuners use better parts, so they're more reliable. That's why they tend to be more accurate. It shows a pretty accurate reading when you tune. But the cheapest tuners, the ones that cost just a few bucks, you've probably noticed that the needle keeps moving back and forth, making the reading unstable. That's because they're cheaply made. Generally, tuners priced $3 to $5 or higher will meet your needs. I recommend choosing a headstock tuner, which clips onto the guitar's headstock. This makes it more convenient. It's small and easy to carry, and if you're playing live in a noisy venue, if you use a regular tuner, it can be affected by background noise. A headstock tuner, however, filters out most background noise, and can accurately pick up your guitars. Pitch. So, headstock tuners are the top choice, and affordable. Third, the capo. Every guitarist needs a capo. A capo helps simplify things. It makes fingering easier for beginners. You only need to know C or G scales to play songs in any key. Super handy. Take this one. Flip to guitar or and this in my hand are both capos. You might notice my capo looks different from standard ones. It's a multifunctional model. Has screen. It can tune guitar. It's a capo with a built-in tuner. When you buy one, choose based on your needs and get standard capo. Only that needed. A capo clamps like this fret. The basics of capos and how to use it properly are also covered in our tutorials. Take it one lesson at a time, following this order. That's because of how this course is arranged, is the result of careful, scientific planning I've done over a long time. A lot of material is broken down and taught clearly, lesson by lesson, making it easier to grasp. Capos vary widely in price, from just a few bucks to tens or even hundreds. I suggest avoiding the very cheap ones. The cheap ones are probably familiar to you. Cold ruler type capo. These are usually very low quality. If you're lucky, it might last a few uses or a few days before breaking. If you're unlucky, it could break the first time you use it. And these tuners often don't hold the tuning steady or accurately. They can also cause noise, which leads to all sorts of issues. Don't recommend them. But you don't need an expensive tuner when you're just starting out. I recommend going for the big clip-on style, also called the big clip tuner. You can get these tuners under 20 yuan, sometimes even for around 10 yuan. These capos come in two types, full-size and compact. I find the full-size version more convenient. These capos are affordable. They actually work pretty well, since they're reasonably priced. They offer good value for money. Naturally, if you can afford it, you might want to get a better capo, which is preferable. You really do get what you pay for. Quality capos will give you better sound, without compromising guitar resonance. The sound you play will improve. Next up is the metronome. The metronome is essential. Helps train sense of rhythm. It helps stabilize our rhythm. If you never used a metronome when learning an instrument, you'll find when you record for the first time, combined as above, you'll feel that when you turn on the metronome, you suddenly feel like you can't play anymore. Your rhythm is out of sync with the metronome. They never align. This shows that you never really trained your rhythm from the start. So, I suggest beginners have a metronome handy. Start with some technique exercises or scales or accompaniment patterns and keep the metronome going. This really helps your sense of rhythm. The metronomes we usually see are mechanical. Mechanical ones have a swinging needle. They're still quite common. These capos are quite pricey. They usually cost over 70 yuan, about $10. I recommend you go for electronic capo. Electronic capo now often includes a built-in tuner, so they're also called 3-in-1 tuners. Its function offer more than mechanical ones. They're more versatile, so I recommend you go with an electronic capo. They're also quite affordable. You can even find them for just 20 or 30 yuan. Prices range 30 to 50 yuan, so you've got plenty of options, and the value for the price is good. Number 5 is guitar, strings, and picks. We all know strings and picks wear out and need replacing. Strings, for example, even if your guitar costs 10,000 yuan, you'll break strings too. Even a $15 guitar breaks strings. So, especially the first two, since they're the thinnest, make sure to keep a few extras handy. Because if you don't have spare strings, and one breaks, you can't practice. And they're very cheap. You can get one for about $1. Always keep a few extra first and second strings ready. Starting out on guitar, if your guitar isn't high-end, you don't need to worry about the brand. Get the cheapest one. That's fine. Now the pick. We use it to practice scales and for other practice. It's a must-have accessory. They're also very cheap. Cheap picks can cost as little as $1. You might even get one or two for that. There are quality cloth picks that can cost a few bucks each. You can choose based on situation and your personal preferences. I also recommend having spares since they're easy to lose. Number 10 is a good textbook. I'm sure every self-taught guitarist has bought plenty of books, but in the end you still haven't learned to play. That's because many books out there are all the same. Most just copy random bits of guitar content and slap on a CD or come with a DVD with simple demos. Then it's released for sale, no matter how many of these you buy. Even if they only cost around 20 yuan each, or about 30 yuan each. But even if you buy 10 or 20, you still won't learn guitar. I believe you can learn guitar from one course on your own. Then course has to be thorough and systematic. And comes with DVD support. In short, the DVD explanations need to match the book exactly. So, learners will feel like a real teacher is guiding them. But this tutorial is expensive to produce and takes a lot of time and effort to make. So these tutorials are rare to find. I'm not here to promote our own course, of course. I created my first course back in 2007. So this is just my personal take. And some of the books out there have their flaws. These can be gaps. So that's why we made this tutorial series. The book in this series has almost 400 pages. Each video lesson exactly follows the book. That way, I believe you'll feel like I'm teaching you in person. I believe more people will learn to play guitar. And it's a great platform, since we're self-learning guitar with no teacher. So when we run into problems, we might just ask Baidu. But if we're rational, you don't actually know who's answering on Baidu. They might be a real guitar teacher, or just a guitar fan who knows a little, or someone who knows nothing, just like you. So there's no way to tell if the answer is right. You've probably joined lots of QQ groups to chat with others about guitar. Once you join, you realize most of it's casual chat. Share some pictures, talking about things, but no one answers your questions. On many guitar sites and forums, I'm sure you've signed up too, but you realize your questions barely get any replies. Even with replies, they might not be the answers you really need. So you end up frustrated without a good place. This came about because many guitar players contacted us with this problem, launched iTunes Guitar Academy, a free guitar learning platform. All the free guitar tabs we create, latest tabs and free guitar lessons, are all on our platform. Everyone can connect and share with other users. If you have any questions, you can post questions on our platform. Our teachers and members will answer questions, and it's all free. We never charge for anything on our platform. So if you like guitar, you can check out our platform. All that is an introduction to self-learning guitar in this lesson. I believe after watching this, you'll be able to better organize your approach. to learn guitar the right way. As for lessons and materials for self-learning guitar, you can follow my tutorials. This is the 4th complete guitar course I've made so far, and it includes my latest ideas. I'm confident if you follow my course, you can definitely learn the guitar. Next lesson, I'll introduce the guitar. To really learn this instrument, you need to understand it. Okay, see you in the next lesson.